guys, it's KMCers. I'm Kirsten and welcome back to another true crime video. So today we're going to be talking about two crimes that occurred that were done by the same person. Starting with the first crime, so let's jump right into this. Thomas Christopher Hunter and Shirley Sherman. Thomas Hunter was born on June 12th of 1996. He was 11 years old from Dundee, Omaha, Nebraska. His parents were doctors William and Claire Hunter. He did have three brothers, Timothy, Robert, and Jeffrey. He was described as wonderful, lively, liked to play video games. Shirley Sherman was born on April 7th of 1950. She was 57 years old from Dundee, Omaha, Nebraska. Her parents were Joanna Banks and Roland Waite. She had a lot of siblings, Bradley, Terry, and Daniel Waits, and Jetta, Marlene, and Robert Banks. She had two children, Jeff and Kelly. She was a beloved daughter, mother, and grandmother of 5. She always was willing to lend a helping hand. She had a contagious laugh and smile, and she loved working in her garden. So let's talk about the incident that occurred. On March 13th of 2008, Dr. William arrived home to find the bodies of his son and housekeeper, Thomas and Shirley. They were stabbed to death by a knife that was taken from the family's kitchen. So let's talk about the investigation. Witnesses said that they saw a heavy-set olive-skinned colored male nearby, and they also said they saw a silver Honda CRV with out-of-state plates. Police drew up the sketch of the man that was described. They also looked into the Hunter family to see if they had any types of enemies or motives on why this happened. They also looked at Thomas's online gaming presence, but no leads came from those. They also then started looking at Shirley, thinking that she might have been the target. Again, they found nothing in her life as well. Shirley's family ended up offering a $50,000 reward on any information on the case. They also hired a private investigator. There was also a stabbing nearby the home of the Hunters that happened in the same vicinity of time frame, and they looked into seeing if they were connected in any way, and they did find that they're not connected, and the two cases were definitely different people. So about a year later, that case ended up going cold. So let's talk about the second case. So the victims were Roger Allen and Mary Helen Brombach. Roger was born on February 15th of 1948. He was 65 years old from Omaha, Nebraska. His parents were Francis and Oscar. He had siblings Carol, Wayne, and Gary. And he did also have children, but their names are not disclosed. He was described as he loved to play chess, tennis. He was first wanting to go into family medicine, but decided to go into neurology instead. He loved books. Neuropathologist. I don't know how to pronounce that, but he also founded the Journal of Child Neurology. He was the editor-in-chief until his death. Was born in 1947. She was 65 years old, and her parents were Harry and Dorothy Skinner. She had a sister named Julia, and they also did have children that were not disclosed. She was described as an amazing person, full of life. She had a bachelor's degree in ecology, something like that. She enjoyed museums, art galleries, Pittsburgh Zoo. She practiced family law at one point, and she enjoyed cooking and gardening. She was a pharmacist as far as I know. So let's talk about the incident that occurred. On May 14th of 2013, a piano mover named Jason Peterson and his crew came to the home of Roger and Mary Bromback. When they first got there, they thought no one was home as it was very quiet and dark. But one of the movers noticed that there was a handgun magazine in the doorway. So they ended up calling the police. Jason said that he saw Roger's body inside of the home, but there was no blood. So the investigation happened. So the same detectives that worked on the Hunter case also got to work on this case as well. Roger had multiple stab wounds and multiple gunshot wounds to his neck, and Mary was stabbed to death. The knives that were found were actually from the family's home, and a lot of things started to make them think that this might have been the same person that did the Hunter killings as well. They saw a lot of similarities. Look into Dr. Bromback and Dr. Hunter, and they actually found out that they were colleagues at Creighton University, so they were confirmed to be connected, possibly. The couple was dead for a day or two, but they were last seen on Mother's Day on a video chat with their daughter. 4 days after the Bromback's murder, Dr. Chada Brutra reported that someone had tried to break into her home on Mother's Day. Her and her husband were not home and nothing was missing, but police believe that the intruder might have been scared off due to the alarm that went off. It was theorized that they tried to break into the home and then the alarm went off, scared them off, and then they went and killed Dr. Roger and his wife, Mary. So detectives came across Dr. Anthony Garcia's file. He was actually dismissed from Creighton University a few years, or was dismissed from a highly known university. It kind of interfered with him finding employment and his medical license. He basically did have all motive to hurt all three doctors, Dr. William Hunter, Dr. Roger Bromback, and Dr. Chada Brutra, who someone tried to break into the home. Since Thomas Hunter's murder was in the afternoon, Claire and William were not home at the time, and so they believe that it was kind of deliberately planned to hurt Dr. William Hunter in some type of way. Shortly before the Brombacks were murdered, Garcia purchased a handgun, and it was the same handgun that would fit the magazine that was found at the home. His credit cards showed that he had used his credit card around the same area on Mother's Day. His phone showed that he actually looked up Dr. Bromback's address in his GPS a few minutes after the alarm went off at Dr. Brutra's home. A saliva sample DNA matched the DNA that was left behind by the intruder who attempted to break into the Brutra's house, which investigators found that he was in Louisiana, and when he was in Louisiana, he owned a silver Honda CR-V vehicle that was the same vehicle described outside the Hunter's home at the time of the murder. He ended up living in Indiana, where they ended up tracking him down and arresting him. On July 15th, he was arrested in Illinois, but he was first charged with the DUI until they actually got better charges on him. When they searched his car, they ended up finding the .45 caliber handgun, 50 bullets, a Louisiana State University lab coat, and a stethoscope. He was then in custody by Nebraska, who extradited him back to Nebraska, where he was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and use of a handgun. in the state of Illinois ended up suspending his medical license after he got arrested. Let's talk about the trial that occurred. So his trial was to begin in April of 2016, but on the eve of jury picks selection, Judge Gary Randall actually made a controversial decision to remove Allison Morta, who was part of the defense team, from being present in this case due to the fact that she was talking to TV stations and radio stations, ultimately poisoning the jury pool. So Garcia's trial actually began on October 3rd of 2016. Prosecutors ended up showing evidence that from his home as well, that included a trash bag with a bunch of termination letters from Creighton University, a to-do list that told him to put tape on his fingers and buy common shoes. They called in a former stripper, Cecily Huffman, who said 4 years after the Hunter's murder, Garcia had tried to hit on her. When she told him that she was into bad boys, he responded by saying that he had killed a young boy and an old lady. They pointed out that all 4 of the victims were stabbed in the same type of manner, and that a handgun was found in his car that matched the handgun found outside the home of the Brombacks. During his whole entire trial, though, he sat there with headphones on and acted like he was sleeping. On October 26, 2016, he was found guilty on 4 counts of first-degree murder, 4 counts of use of a deadly weapon to commit a felony, and 1 count of felony burglary. The sentencing was delayed in Nebraska due to the fact that Nebraska was voting on whether they repel or retain the death penalty. So on November of 2016, the state ended up voting to retain the death penalty. So in September 2018, a 3-judge panel sentenced Garcia to death. Now, the aftermath that occurred. In 2010, Creighton University unveiled a memorial to Thomas Hunter that was near the Cardiac Center, but was moved later in 2023 to be near the R.L. Rachel and Warner Center. In 2014, the detectives Derek Morris, Scott Warner, Ryan Davis, and Nick Herford were named Crime Stoppers Officers of the Year for their work on this case. In 2017, 48 Hours did an episode called Resident Evil. Dateline did a 2-hour special episode called Haunting. Fictionalized version was included in James Patterson's Murder is Forever. Garcia does remain on death row. November of 2022, his public defender began to attempt appeals. In March of 2023, there was a file of a motion for a new trial, claiming that there was errors in his counsel. And in September 8th of 2023, the Nebraska Supreme Court rejected his appeals for a new trial, stating we cannot determine on direct appeal whether counsel was ineffective in certain regards. We otherwise affirm Garcia's convictions and sentences. I'm going to leave you with some photos of these people's lives. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what you guys want to see next. Subscribe if you haven't already to turn on that bell notifications so you're notified when we post every single Tuesday and occasionally on Fridays when we feel like it. This is KMCers whatever, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.